This one you will love me. After this, mtaniambia tu mama keti chini tu tukununulie kasoda hapa tukunywe. Next week all of you will be smiling. Amen. Okay? We want you to take your mountains seriously. Si kushinda hapa tunalia tunafunga from Monday to Sunday. Monday to Sunday. You are just losing weight. And you are not getting. I'm equipping you so that you can know how to handle your mountain. All right? So taking an interview. Next slide, please. Types of interview. We have panel interview. We have what we call group interview, phone or virtual interview. There's screening interview, and then there is written interview. Now, there are times you will go through all of them, depending on the organization. There are times you'll go through 2, there are times you'll go through 1, but mostly you're likely to go through 2 or 3, depending on the organization. Next slide. The purpose of an interview is to explain your resume and your cover letter. Wewe uliandika barua, ukatuma CV, ukatuma cover letter. Now they want one-on-one to see. Hizi vitu zote uliandika. Ni zako ama ulifanywa na ule mtu wa cyber cafe? Do you get the point? Okay? Next second is to demonstrate you have the skills and desire to do the job. So they'll be shooting questions at you. Do you have the skills? Do you have the desire to do the job? They also want to see if you can make an impression concerning their organization or even you yourself and your capability. It's one thing to write, it's another one to express it in writing or through the interview. When you are busy saying, I managed to, blah, 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 blah. I equipped, blah, 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 blah. Can you express it the way you put it in writing? Napo lisema, you are able to, you are a team leader. What exactly is that? On that day, which team leader, I was just the one who, on that day, they told me to be in charge of Sunday school, and on that day, you cannot give an impression at all of what you said you did. All right? So they'll be doing that. Next slide. A panel interview. Now look at that. We have one lady who is there. The black lady. Can you see the black lady? And we have, this is the first slide, the first photo on my left. This is my, I'm left-handed. So I always, that song that Madoshe sings. Yes, I struggle with that song. Because in my head, when he says kulia, this is my kulia, okay? And kushotos are so, every time I have to always ask myself, so which side is this? So that's left, okay? And you can see the panel is there. The wazungus are the panels, okay? And that's the lady, all right? So they are just shooting questions. Now, a lot of times, where I found that is happening is where, especially when these wazungus are the ones, they will even have you sit here and they'll go sit there. They never do like the way Waafrika ufanya, wanajieka kwa, unaingia ndani hivi, wanakwambia, okay, madam, can you sit there? Allow wako hapa. The work is to, no expression, no nothing. It's like the world has come to an end, okay? So be prepared if you go for a panel interview, so it's supposed to. A group interview, now this is can be a most frustrating one. Umekwa wewe na 5 others. Nyote. These guys want to meet all of you together. You don't even know each other. You don't know your capabilities. So they shoot questions. They're just shooting questions at all of you. And someone feels like they can mention your name. Okay? They mention your name. So can you say this? And now your friend anasema, kwani naye mjinga ajalitoka wapi? Ati hawezi jibu. Alafu sasa, si fumble. Then there's okay, and Mr. James, what do you think about that question? Mr. James, nakwambia anaji-express vizuri. Unasikia tu ni kama thin sweat imetoka. Unasikia tu akiwa ananifanya hivi kwa nini. Okay? You get the point? That's called a panel and a group interview. So they're just asking questions, and they will ask your opinion. So they can shoot the question to you, ask your question, ask your opinion, then pass the same question to the next person and the next. And now with a group interview, never ever say, like so-and-so said. Because you are rubber stamping so-and-so and you are elevating so-and-so. Huko hakuna huruma. It's not that you are not a Christian. You are a Christian. Okay? As they are talking, think about a point they have not mentioned. Think about a point they have not mentioned. Think about, a lot of times in this group interview, they'll ask you very general questions. Very general questions. For instance, they'll ask you, so what are you going to bring on board once we give you the job? Kila mtu atasema yake, sema yake, sema yake. Look for your most unique thing that is relevant to the job and say it. Okay? You can say. Si kuitwa hapo alafu nasema, mimi, let me be honest with you. If these jobs are like this, that is the end of it. I will never go for an interview. And God help me. When I make an advertisement, Jehovah God, let there be no interview in Jesus' name. In fact, I cancel all interviews in Jesus' name. Now, because you are canceling, you will never be called for any, you'll never get a job. Be bold and courageous and just know you can make it in Jesus' name. Amen? Yeah. Okay, the next one. Next slide, please. Phone interview. All right? Phone interview, they call you or they put you nowadays. It could be phone interview or virtual interviews, okay? But it could be just a phone. They call you. I did one 2 years ago, a phone interview, and I got the job. I thank God. Actually, the one who called me was the CEO in charge of the company. He's the only one who called me. And I was thinking, I didn't even know it was an interview. I thought we were chatting. Then later on it tells now, Dr. Emily, thank you very much. The interview is over. And I'm thinking, this was an interview. And we were talking like we were just chatting. And then say, we'll get back to you after 2 days. And I'm thinking, God, I didn't even pray about this job. So say ni kazi za aina gani hizi? And true, I got the job. But I thought we were chatting. What I did is that I was very honest with what they were asking. He told me, can you give me your experiences? I shared the experiences, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. After 20 minutes, it was over. Then I almost called him and told him, please, can you give me another chance? Then I didn't have a job. I was looking for some job. Then I said, I wouldn't even bother asking him. Sio ndo amenipigia na wakuniambia ni interview. Then they write to me and tell, congratulations, you got the job. You'll be in charge of the country, in charge of this. This is the data we are looking for. Blah. I was happy. And that went very well to an extent that it was in 8 countries. And every country, they were looking for a lead person to do it. So I was in charge of Kenya. It was during the COVID time. So I was in charge of Kenya because we couldn't travel out of the country. Okay. But the results we got, they said, to the glory of God now, this one, even after I was not happy with the interview, they wrote and they said they were really impressed. That they said that out of all the 8 countries, my work was the most detailed and thorough. And I bless the Lord. Amen. Yes, so you can see that unaweza fanyishwa tu kama ule jamaa. Unaona vile ameketi, mguu mmoja iko juu, sijui iko wapi, na ako sawa. Then there's what now they call the screening interview. I think that's what they want to do for me tomorrow. Okay? It's an African regional organization. They want to, if I get the job, according to them, I should manage 13 countries or something like that. I have no idea where this one is going to. I found out now why it is good to be in LinkedIn. Yesterday afternoon, after in the evening, I found out this particular group, it is they have sub-hired, they have contracted an agency to do the search for themselves. And the head of this particular job, of this particular organization, had actually searched my LinkedIn 4 weeks ago. I had no clue. You get the point? I had no clue. So even kumbe this time round they are calling me, it's because they had already done that. So what I tend to think is going to be happening tomorrow is screening interview. Ni yeye ama si yeye? Ni kweli anaweza ama siwezi? Should we push forward to the next level or not? I suspect them. But what do they call it? They don't call it screening interview. They call it informal call. All right, you get it? So when you get an informal call, just know that's all about screening. Okay, next slide. This is my favorite. Can we have coffee? Can we meet at Java, West End? Can we meet at, they like those kind of places because that's where they know most of the security of UN and some of these international organizations are. So they'll ask you, can we meet at this place? It's always about that, dining. Okay, but when you know we are meeting for coffee, carry your money. Ni mzungu. Anaweza jilipia, akakuacha hapo kishanga. It could be part of the interview. So make sure you have enough money. And if you don't have, just ask for dawa. Or warm water with a lemon. Unless he tells you, don't worry, the bill is on me. Venica. Others utapeel potatoes na utapanguza meza. Ama utakuwa ukitafuta fuliza after that. Or wash dishes. We went somewhere and these people kept on asking for things, and then I called the waiter and said, waiter, mbakishe vyombo huko kitchen kwa sababu hii bili inaonekana itakuwa kubwa sana na ule anatakiwa kulipa hajakuja. Okay, they had asked us to meet some people. So mbakishe vyombo huko ndani. He laughed, you know. He said atakuja. Tukamwambia vile nawajua anaweza kadecide wasikuje. Kwa hivyo unaona hapa tuko ngapi? Tuko 4. Kwanza ule mpatie masahani na ule mpatie masufuria na ule mpatie then you know what you end up hapa kwetu hatupai watu masufuria, tunawaitia polisi. Okay? So that's where I was. So dining is very nice. And dining, let me be honest with you. It is nice, it looks relaxed, but they are looking at your behavior. Because a lot of times you will be meeting their clients in meetings like this, and that's where you'll be doing the negotiations for funding and stuff like that. So they want to see how you even eat. Hey Yvonne, sikwenda unataka chips iko tamu aje na hey wait hebu kuja haraka sana ongeza ingine hapa, hii chips ni tamu sana. Watch out. Don't go there with your worst manners. I hope I'm speaking to Alan. Okay? You are safe. I like that. Which Alan? Okay. Okay? So be very, very careful with dining. Dining is where they look at your aptitude, they look at your manners, they look at all sorts of things. They also want to find out whether during the time you're eating, you can concentrate and discuss issues. It's the same time they want to find out whether you're a person who talks about politics, something which they don't like anyone in their... Because you're in a relaxed man. Mtu ameshiba unajua anapayuka tu. Si ni kweli? Yes. You are relaxed, so you'll say anything. And they'll ask you any question. Especially so they take you to those people, and before you know it, a politician has just walked in. And then you're like, aya, ata huyu politician ukuja hapa. You keep your thoughts to yourself. Atuacha nimsalimie Yesu. Unatoka kwa meza unaenda kusalimia mheshimiwa. Sababu wewe ni mpiga kura. Okay? Am I helping you? Yeah? Yeah. So dining is really nice, very relaxed. It's nice. They can come 2 people, it could be just 1-on-1, or it can be 2, or can even be 4 people, and they decide to have dinner. They've done for me like that one time. We were in Ethiopia, and they called me to go and have dinner with them. And of course, they don't even tell you, let's meet for dinner and have dinner together. So they are watching and they're listening, how much you talk, what you say, what you don't say. They'll ask you about your family. They'll ask you about where you have worked before. They'll kind of be asking, and they want to see whether you can carry on a conversation. For instance, where were you working before? Do you love Ethiopia? What is the problem? What are the things you see here? What are the challenges as far as nutrition is concerned or food security issues? And you keep on telling them. And they also want to find out whether you will reach out to the other person and ask one or two questions without taxing them, putting them on the spot. Actually, I understand your organization has this problem and this other one. Have you sorted out your problems? What are your job? Okay? Yeah, so it's very, very important that when they ask you questions during the dining time, don't be so tight up. Relax a bit. They also want to find out your food habits in terms of what do you eat? Do you drink a lot? Okay. And it's always a good thing to tell when they tell you, oh, will you have a beer? Tell them, thank you. No, I don't take alcohol. I'm a Christian. Then they'll decide whether to take you or not. For there, I never compromise. But that's your food. That's your food. They've asked you to check on the menu. If it is there, you can put. If it is not there, Alison, you don't keep on telling them ati lazima nikule ugali, others mimi siwezi kakaa hapa kwa hii dinner. When ngangana kula whatever is there on the menu, when you go home, cook your ugali. Okay? Don't sleep hungry. Yeah? Sorry? That's a good one. They look at you and they're like, hey, sasa huyu anakula hivi. Kutakuaje? Okay. And then written interview, very nice. Written interviews are also interviews to assess the candidate for a job in a written format. Okay. They want to see. They'll ask you a question. We are going to send you to this is just a general question, this particular place. In the event this happens, what will you do? And they want to see how you express yourself, whether you really understand certain things very well, and whether you can outline them concisely and without just writing too much, vitu ambazo hata ujulikani zinaanza wapi, zinaenda wapi. No. Just be precise, straight to the point, and they'll tell you how many questions will be that. Some questions you may answer, some you may not answer, but we pray that the questions they give you can be able to answer. All right? Yeah. So it does. So a written interview is sometimes like a live interview, but candidates write answers instead of providing them verbally. That means when you're doing a verbal interview, you also need to be very precise. Next, please. Other forms of behavioral interview, like what I told you, are also tested. We can put you in a place that like an assessment center, wengi, like 10 people. And there are things they are looking out for, okay? They can ask you to do group exercise, practical tasks and exercises. They want to see whether you are a person who gets angry very fast. Umegongwa na ball, like, yenyewe hata papa sitaki kukaa tena siku nyingine. Ngine mwenyewe wamenivunjia kucha. And you start, you know, you're like with this guy and you're like, how can you break my nails? Angalia vile umenikanyanga. Na ni kweli umesikia uchungu, lakini what do? Unavumilia tu, si ndio? But most times they don't even tell you it's an interview, all right? So exercise, report writing, oral presentations, psychometric assessment, Who knows what is psychometric assessment? Exactly. They want to know whether actually you are sound. And this they do a lot when it's in the army or police. Okay? Mumepewa the same task, but they want to see the output out of you. When ni mtu wa hasira, when ni mtu wa nini. You know. Okay? Yes. Aptitude tests. Measure skills relevant to position, verbal comprehension, evaluate logic of text, numerical reasoning, interpreting statistical data. Wanakupatia tu poop. Wanakuambia now this one, what do you think about this? So you have like now, if you did public health like me, they give you that so many people have died because of this. And then they ask you what really caused that disease. And if there was an intervention, how many should have died instead? Then they're just trying to find, and chances are you already know that when there is an outbreak like COVID, or when there's an outbreak like this in a certain area, then at least we expect to get a mortality rate of 10% or 5% or whatever percentage. That means then you are really okay. Okay, so it's not that bad. Okay, but of course the media will be reporting, oh, watu wengine wamekufa COVID nazika kila siku asubuhi na mchana. But when you look at it in terms of proportions, then very few people died. Yeah? Yeah, but of course, yes, we know in other countries they died more, like our friends from China, but they refused to tell us the truth and the truth only. Mungu awasamee tu dhambi zao. Personality tests. Okay? Look at personality, the style, the way they dress, the way they look like. Usiitwe interview ukienda na Crocs. Okay? We will be talking about how you will dress. Okay? That tells a lot about your personality. Okay? A lot about your personality. We'll be talking about dressing. Okay? Dressing code. Okay? You have, one of the things we normally, in this personality, tell, okay, just give me your general opinion. There is no wrong, there is no right answer. Then don't take advantage of that by just saying everything. That is even mixing up people. Nobody knows what exactly. So, okay, be spontaneous. Don't try to second guess. Tests include building checks. Employers may be looking for different personality profiles because sometimes you're not so sure what are they exactly looking for, all right? We don't know. Sometimes you don't know. It could be they want to hire you for a PA to somebody. Okay, so they're checking on that as well. Okay, next slide. So you could do a first interview, you could do a second interview, depending on that. Next slide. A third interview, imagine, then you do the final interview. And look at all of them. And you don't know sometimes. You just say, imagine, sasa wamesema nirudi niende nikakutane na HR. Oh, hapana, ati imagine wananiambia sasa ati nirudi nikakutane sijui na Mr. Nani. Na sijui hata Mr. Nani, sijui nasikia ndio head of sijui which department. You still go back, okay? Don't say, yani hizo interview. Kama wananichukua tu siwaniambi, kama waniambi niache tu na mimi hata leo siendi nimechoka sana. Hata in fact my friends have been wondering where I am in WhatsApp. I've not been on WhatsApp for long. Okay? Okay, let's go. Next slide. This is my favorite, background check. Now you could have gone through all the 4 interviews. But if they do a background check and they find out you lied something on your CV, it doesn't matter how many interviews you sat for. That's it. Umejitia kitanzi. All right? Be very honest on your CV. If you put somebody's number there or you say that you worked for this organization and indeed you worked for the organization, make sure you say the right things you did in that organization and that's it. Hata kama ilikuwa kidogo, andika tu hiyo kidogo ulifanya. Usiongeze zile ukufanya. Sawa. Background checks are the worst parts. You can never. These guys have time to call these organizations and ask them. They have all the time. All the time. Because they're not about to employ a thief or a conman or a conwoman or a liar, a slanderer. They care more about the policies of the organizations more than anything else. If you were involved in an illegal thing, trafficking to drugs from Nigeria via Nairobi to South Africa, and you were caught and put in, even if you are removed, please indicate. You know that question there's, have you been involved in any illegal things? You're like, hey, mimi acha akinifanya alafu nikase hiyo job. Andika 2 years. They'll say, explain what it was. In fact, nowadays, I like that clause they usually have you been involved in any legal matter or any offense or legal matter or offense except traffic. I usually feel very happy. Kama mimi nimeshikwa. Nishashikwa na traffic. Na si mara moja Kisumu, siku ingine hapo Naivasha Road, nikiwa na gas cylinder zangu za liquid nitrogen. Sijui alifikiri nini. Karibu niwaambie wafungue. Lakini ni ile huruma ya Mungu tu, compassion from above. Sababu angefungua, wangeambia mtu mwingine vitu kama hizo tena. You know, they annoy you because they were insisting I pay them money. They said I overspent, but they could not show the proof. They could not show anything. And it wasn't true. I was only overtaking a car. And then they insisted that I have to give them something. I told them I don't have and I don't give. They were very upset. Uko nani? Ana tusiangalie nyuma. Enda hivi. No, siangalie nyuma. I get in and then they block the door. So I had to wait for the magistrate until she comes. She asked me whether I was guilty. A man there told me, just tell them you are guilty. After all, ulingia aje huku ndani. Kasema, yes, yeah, madam, I'm guilty. It's the first offense I've ever done. That's why I'm here. And I didn't even know what to say. But I thanked God for that vionja mahakamani. You know that vionja. You know, some of you people don't like to watch those things until you find yourself inside there. Mwende KBC mwanze kutafuta vionja mahakamani. Mtazingiziwa ndio you know how to behave in court. And nikasema, mheshimiwa, ninaomba hii koti nisame. Utajitetea ukiwa upande gani huko? Nitasema, hapa tu niko. That time, I'm looking at the time. I'm supposed to be in Kisumu. I mean, Naivasha, I'm supposed to be in Kisumu before 7 in the night. And I'm still in court trying to convince this. Then she's like, so I told mheshimiwa, mimi utanisamea sana. Sitawahi rudia hivyo tena. Sitawahi overtake gari ingine tena. Hii ni mara yangu ya kwanza. Ninaomba koti nisamee. So she's like, uko na ID card ya nini? Yes, I was a student then at London School. Of course, I gave my ID card and I said I work with, I'm doing my project there in line together with CDC. So they said, she looked at me, then she said, okay, sawa. Takanenda. Utakutoa fine ya 10,000. I was so happy because the policemen wanted 50,000. They had reduced from 130,000 to 50,000. Of course, they knew I was carrying very valuable things. That's why I was getting upset. I almost told them, wafungue kama wanafikiri nadanganyana. Nini tumeita nini? Liquid nini? Liquid. You know, policemen need to go to school. Wajui hata liquid nitrogen ni nini? Umeita liquid nini? Ni maji. Wangetoka mapua, macho, kila pahali. Okay? So background check is very important, okay? They'll check everything. They can even call you a pastor. Hata wanapigia mchungaji saa hizo kama ilikuwa kwa ni Mkristo. Wanakuuliza, have you been to any other church? Unasema yes. Can you give us a referee from the other church as well? Why did you leave? Na mnajua vile tunataka kutoka one church to another. Hiyo tabia achana nayo. Unasema, you know the other church, they were doing this, there was no this. That's already a problem. Okay? So just stay where you are at the moment and trust God for the best. Amen? So they do all sorts of background checks. So if you are referees, they call them, they check what it is that you have been doing, whether it is true and all that. Next slide. How to prepare for a job interview. Now this one, please stay awake. First of all, stand a bit. Stand. Kama umeketi and just do some bit of moving around because this you must get right. If you miss this one, even those guys who are saying they are not happy with their jobs, you'll find yourself in trouble, okay? Yvonne, I'm not seeing you moving. Move a little bit. Okay? This is also a small interview, so I can see who obeys and who doesn't obey. You know, and I tell people in church, just learn to listen and obey. Wananiona I'm too much. Uko inje, it's worse. Okay, are we ready? Okay, take your seats back. Thank you. Number one, you must. It's a must. No going around it. You must know that organization inside out before you sit for that interview. You must know it. You must know about it. Usikawaenda interview na ujui nani anakuandika. Know what they do. Do your research. The beauty about most of these people, they have a website. Look for their website. Find out what they do. What is their history? Okay? What is their history? Where did they start? Who works where? Even who is the name of the current manager? Find out. Where are they located? Okay? Usikue tu, uko tu netwa malenge. Ujui chochote. Like imagine UNICEF asked me, in how many countries is UNICEF? And I had done my homework. I knew that bit. So I was happy to tell them 196 countries in the world. Very impressed. They just didn't know I went to their website. They wanted to know the name of the country representative. It is all in the website, so I told them. Okay? So do your homework very well. Know about that organization. Okay? Tap your connection for insider information. Now, for instance, someone amekuambilia kuna job advert hapa in our organization. All right? Oh, really? Yeah. Imagine tomorrow I'll have the CV ile imeandikwa na cyber guy. Nitakutumia kwa email yako. Anakuambia pana usitume kwa email yangu, fanya nini? Did you hear what I said? Ile imeandikwa na cyber guy. Don't do that. Hiyo imeandikwa na wewe, si ndio? And then anakuambia no, send it to this particular, and I'll send you the advert. Okay? Now, that's an inside guy who told you about the job. Call them. Tell me more about this organization. How do you want me to prepare? What should I know? They'll give you some tips. For instance, did you read the advert well? Then you're like, yeah. Then you say, I actually read, but there was something about that I didn't understand. Then they'll explain to you. Now, that's what we call an insider. Now, some jobs you might not get that opportunity to know an insider. All right? It was an advertisement, like the UNICEF job I'm telling you about that was in the newspaper. That's why 2,000 people applied for it. Okay? It was just in the newspaper. So you can see, you may never get an insider. But when you get, like if I tell you, Clara, I've seen a job that suits your CV, then you'll be like, can you tell me a little bit more about it? Like, actually, I don't know much about it, but go to this link and see if you can learn something about it. Then do your homework well, okay? So there's that. So then take time before the interview to make matches between your qualifications and requirements as stated in the job advert. Take time. Angalia your qualifications. I'm qualified in this. I'm an accountant. Now, wamesema wanataka someone who can do financial analysis. So what's the connection between these accounts and financial analysis? You get the point? Make sure that there's that. Because they'll ask you, so how relevant are you to this job? Utasema nini, Martha? Utacheka. Naambia Kenyo hata misi juu. Pengine mnaweza niambia nyinyi ndio mliniita interview. Yeah? And the minute you look like you don't know, they start doubting. I told you the first 5 minutes, they will just know that either you qualify or you don't qualify. Number 2, anticipate the questions and route out your answers in advance for each question. And then read it aloud to ensure it sounds like it is actually the truth and it fits in very well. For instance, they will ask you several questions, and I'll be showing you a list of questions you are likely to be asked. Very common questions. Hizo utawahi kosa any interview. Ziko, hata mi uliza. Sawa. Know your resume very well. That's why I don't allow a cyber guy to write your resume for you. Know it yourself. They can actually ask you, on page 2, you had an experience working with this organization. Which country was it? Na kumbe ni ile ni Martha amepeleka CV but information ni ya Brenda. Kababu cyber cafe guy ndo alikuchorea. And you're wondering, which country is that? Where? Who? How? Na umeenda kula interview ya dining ya mtu. utalipa hiyo pesa. Si ndio? So make sure that you know that. Know where you are going, location of the company. This one, please. Please. Maneno ya kusema nenda, nimepanda Uber, hata Uber alipotea. I'll be showing you, never go late. That alone you failed the interview. That alone umeanguka interview. Location of the ujui. Mimi sijui kama wako wapi Riverside ama walisema wako nini. Sijui. Na sasa hata sina bundles kuangalia. Umeanguka. Okay? Maureen, are you listening? Huh? Okay, next slide. During the interview, there's a blue side, there's the other side. All of them are important. Be prepared and responsive to questions. Be very prepared. Sit upright. Now, I interviewed some guys I went to Malawi and, Mungu tu tusaidie. Hii maneno ya CV na kuona mtu on face, those are two different things. So this guy walks in, beautiful CV, beautiful academic credentials. We knew this was our guy. Tulijua. Huyu jamaa ndio tutamemploy. So when he came in, alikaa vile Alan ameketi hapa. That's exactly the way he sat. And in fact, he put his leg together. One, yes, like that. Crossed and slanting on one side like that. With one, yeah. And so he introduced himself the same way. Okay? And so, we already knew in the first 5 minutes he was no longer our person. Prepare for common interview questions. Take time to organize your thoughts. Very important. Very important. Okay? One time they called me for an interview for IGAD. They wanted me to develop for them some materials for the 8 presidents. That time Uhuru was one of them. And I was laughing. I said, Aki Uhuru atasoma. And I was laughing as I was working on them. Because I kept on asking, Mina najua pengine Museveni anaweza jaribu. Pengine, I named all the presidents. But I said, Aki sijui kama Uhuru atasoma. Because I was just thinking. Then I started thinking, maybe the wife will read because she's interested in maternal issues. But now the husband, I'm not so sure kama atasoma kitu. Because you know your president better. And one of the things these guys did to me was that bit of my thoughts. Because you see, I'm supposed to develop these things for heads of state. And I'm supposed to develop these things for cabinet secretaries. Okay? And then the other group was, there was cabinet secretary, and then there was permanent secretaries, and then there was, the last group I think was directors of different ministries. Okay, so it's a whole set. So they wanted to understand my thinking and whether my thinking capacity was that organized. Oh my goodness me. These guys were shooting questions from everywhere. There were like 10 of them. And they would want to know because they want to see if I'm able to organize my thinking with the policy issues, at the same time. If I was to sit in a position of a president, how would I be thinking about this issue and connecting it to the policy? Okay, so you can see the kind of questions they were shooting. And I was tired. I felt exhausted. And it reached a point I said, no, God, I need help here. Because I was really feeling exhausted. And then we finished the interview, but they didn't take long. I think it took 40 minutes, but very aggressive kind of questions. See, they were looking for people from all the 8 countries. All right? Whoever came on board was the one who was going to manage all the 8 countries. So they were standard questions. So they were making sure they applied them equally to all of us. By the time I finished, I was exhausted, I was tired. They thanked me very much. And the most amazing thing is that we have the panel that is sitting there. So the panel was about, I think, 6 people. We have 2 people in Djibouti. We had some people in, I don't know, Ethiopia. And all of them, the rest are on intercom. So when the ones to start or these others would start, like that. So we went on until it finished. But eventually it went very well because God is faithful. I left and I'm like, God, I'm so exhausted. I don't even know. Actually, I went home and just slept. And eventually, the same day in the afternoon, they told me, we'll give you the answer tomorrow. But in the afternoon, the HR from Djibouti sent me a message on SMS and asked me, would you check your email? And of course, I wasn't even in a hurry because I was thinking, hata hii kitu, najua I'm so tired and all that, so I'm not feeling like even if I will not really do it in a hurry. I said, okay, fine, thank you. I went on my email, I checked. I was like, oh, you got the job. Thinking, Then I woke up properly now. I woke up and said, Father God, you are such a faithful God. This is one interview I sat in. Actually, it's not that I didn't answer, but I was exhausted because of the way but it was all about organizing your thoughts and seeing how you can organize things from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 and all that, okay? Okay. Then make effective eye contact and smile. No matter how exhausted you are, you don't go frowning. Never frown in an interview. And I did my best. I was tired, yes, but I was always remembering to smile. Thank you, sir, for that question. Papa. And then I finished and said, I hope you have answered your question. I said, oh, yeah, thank you. The next one. And even when they say, oh, yeah, thank you, you're not so sure that you answered it correctly or not. They don't tell you that time, all right? After that, they will, when they get together and let you know later. Okay, so you can see how that goes, all right? So all the time, smile. Hata kama hiyo swali kwe na kubamba sana, but just put a smile there. Oh, I'm grateful for that question. Thank you very much. Okay, and then express what you think about it. Okay, next. Not next slides. Express confidence in your abilities, what you know, and you know will favor the organization. You're selling yourself. Make sure you mention it. Usienda po mayai ya kukarangwa imeungua one side na one side ijakao. Sawa? So make sure you mention that, all right? What you know. What I'm bringing on board is this. Pa. That you know. Those are your capabilities. No one can change you. And no one can change that. All right? Hizo ni vitu najua very. Be attentive to body. Sikukaa hapa kama Alan. Have you ever seen people in interview and they're like, because they are nervous. Wako kwa interview tu nako. Na nakula ya. Ana mwingine anakula kucha. Na juicy fruit. You know, Roy, usikae jaribu hiyo. Just listen, smile all the time. Make sure that you hold your body together. Ukijua mwili yako inapenda kufanya mikono hivi all the time. Nasi niliwaambia, just like wakati nilikuwa nawaambia saa zile. You are distracting the panel. All right? So be careful. The next one is, silence is golden. Know when to stop answering. Tie your background to the position. That's another point. But silent is, let me tell you, umeuliza swali, go straight to the answer. Pap. Maneno ya kusema ulienda Mudhurwa, ukatoka Mudhurwa, ukaenda sijui Kariakoo, ukakosa hakuna kikapu huko, ukakuta, ukarudi upande wa sijui ukapitia pale, ukakula ugali kubwa, ukamaliza, ukatoka hapo ukaenda. Nobody cares about those things. All they want to know is, did you get the kikapu or you did not get? The rest is immaterial. Okay? Yeah. Tie your background to the position of self. Make your selling points clear. Sell yourself. Why do you want us to hire you? Why? That's the question you asked me. Asked me, Doc. That's what the HR called me. Tell me that we can see your very good qualifications. Why do you want to take this job? Because the job was actually below me. They asked me that. And I just said, thank you for the question. The reason why I'm very keen on this particular job is because of multi-sector nutrition. So I saw, it was virtually, so they were all looking at each other. They said, would you explain a little bit more? So I said, yes. And I told them way back in 2019, I was tasked by GIZ to do an evaluation for the entire northern part of Kenya, plus a few countries on these other counties. And I found out that I evaluated them and I gave very strong recommendations, and I found out most of those recommendations have not been implemented. So when I saw this particular job, I was very keen on taking it. And that is the main reason, to implement the recommendations. So they said, they were not so sure actually whether they should bring me on board or not, because still I was very senior to the job. But they realized if now USA does not bring me on board, nobody will ever implement those recommendations. So I came on board with that understanding that they said the reason why we've given you, because you are the only person we have been searching. We found out nobody could do this job except you. So when I came on board, they decided now to allow me to implement all the. So I was forced to change the entire co-creation work they had done, and also change part of the plans they had to suit in the recommendations, because they were not aware about that. They had asked me to share them, which I did, with permission from GIZ, because I could not share, because I was a consultant for GIZ. I could not share, because part of my contract is I don't share information. So I had to call GIZ, ask them if I could share. GIZ told me, I said, please, would you be the one to share? So GIZ shared with them, so they saw recommendations and they were very happy. So they gave me the job. Okay? So that's how it goes. You've got to sell yourself. What do? Look for something that nobody else has ever done. I'm the only one who had done that work. Nobody else had done it. So I'm the only one who knew. The other thing is, I'm the only one who had developed what they call the Kenya Implementation Strategy for Agri-Nutrition. And because of that, they realized I knew more than anybody else. So you've got to know your selling point. Yeah? It is wrong for you to go to a job like this interview now, do your selling point. They'll ask you, why do you want this job? What are you bringing on board? So outline, when you're preparing, write them down. Wakiniambia, why do I need this job? Tap, 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 tap. I say, I'm bringing on board this wealth of experience. I've done this before. It benefited that organization, and I am so positive with me on board. Did you hear? Not with anybody else, with me on board. Mimi, Brenda, unajiangalia hivyo. Unajua nakuangalia nasema huyu anakaa kujua sema if I did it for the other organization and the other organization, then I can be able to do it even much better with your organization. Especially so because I understand your vision and your mission, and you'd better know it. Okay? Is that clear? That's how you tie up the notes. So be ready to handle illegal and inappropriate questions. Uliiba. Hi. Tuliona hapo uliandika ulikuwa umeiba. Ukawekwa ndani siku 6. Ulifanya nini? Be ready to have an answer for that. Interview questions about your race, your age, your gender, your religion, your marital status, and then your sexual orientation. Watu wengine wataki kuandika. Unajua in this, you've seen those applications nowadays? What are you exactly? A male, a female, other? Please indicate. Okay? Nowadays they do that. If in fact they've gone further, if you are bringing a partner on board, okay? They ask you whether this partner is your husband. Okay? You know, what they're trying to say, they're promoting homosexuality in all these organizations, so they will try to do all that for you. So be careful. Okay? Be assertive and take responsibility for the interview. Take responsibility. In other words, if something is going on that you need to make sure that it actually you're being asked, and it is your responsibility to give that information, please don't hesitate, but give information. Because that's the only way you'll pass, all right? Get on the same side as the interviewer. And there's a note there. Your job is to transform the tug of war into a relationship in which you are both on the same boat or on the same side. What does that mean? It means when you get in this tension, because even the panel is not so sure about you. Hawakujui, wamekuona tu kwa resume, wakakuona tu kwa what is it called? All these things. But they really don't know you. So it's up to you to play this game in such a way, at the end of the day, you will be on their side. All right? Don't leave that place and, sikae tu, kweli kuna nini? Are we done yet? Tunaweza toka tuende tu, mimi niende. Kweli ni lazima. Niandikwe na hii organization yenyu. Hata mnabo. The tug of war will go on even next time you get let me tell you the sad reality of working for this organization. As much as you may want to work with them, they blacklist people. You just missed one place like, do you want to employ? Already wanatuma jina, wanatuma CV yako, wanatuma kwa all of them. So even nobody will ever call you for an interview. Sad reality. Okay? So don't go there. Next slide, please. Your questions and anticipations. It's very important. Once, please look at me here now. Wacha kusoma hiyo slide, hayutaielewa hiyo inakaa hivyo, inakaa madhogadhanyo kiasi. Once you finish and they'll ask you, okay, thank you very much, sir. We are done with the interview. Then they'll ask, do you have any question for us? Mimi sina swali. Hata vile mnaniona hivi hata mmeniweka sana nataka kwenda kula lunch. You need to have questions that you should ask after, okay? Why? Itakusaidia. Okay, and I'll show you some of the questions you can actually ask. But they need to be intelligent questions. Questions that show you are interested in this organization. Questions that shows that yenyewe mkinilete on board, itakuwa mbaya sana. Okay? Don't just say anything. At where is the toilet? Uliza receptionist tuko nje. Kabla hujaingia ndio ulize toilet. Sawa. Okay, and the other thing, anticipate the interview's concerns and reservation. Put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself why they might not want to hire you. Okay, so those are anticipations. Just that you can check and see. Actually, I'm going for this interview, but I don't have this. I don't have this. You remember I talked about the 50%. That means there's more than 50%. So if you have 60, it means there's 40 you don't have. That you must know what it is that you don't have. Those are the areas that I don't have this. I don't have this information, or I have no experience in this, but when I got my first job with FAO, actually enyewe hapo nilikuwa green hata mimi. Sikuwa najua sana hizi vitu. It was my first UN job, but with FAO. So I did the first interview, and I passed. But it took God, because I answered questions, yes, but then this lady, they told me I have to go for a second interview the same day. So I waited for the others, and you know where I was seated? There were guys, nilikuwa naangalia kiatu. And I'm asking myself, this must be a very expensive shoe. I'm looking at the watch. These guys have carried their CVs in a briefcase. And here I am in an envelope. But my envelope was new. At least sikukuja na ile mezeeka. At least that part I knew. Nilipata tiki kidogo, okay? But these ones, I looked at these guys. At first I didn't know we were coming for the same interview. I had tried, So they continued, they kept on going. Then they would come and leave, they'd come and leave. Then I found we were left 3 of us. Because they told me to wait at the reception. But I'm wondering, why other people leaving na tulikuwa pamoja? Then I said, maybe they've decided to go ahead. Sikuwa nafikiria mambo mengi, so nikaacha wakaenda. Kumbe hao walikuwa kuambiwa ngoje. But now, what I was expecting, this guy who had a very nice watch and very nice shoes. And those creaseless suits. That's what that guy was coming to work for you, and it's not a small thing. And let me tell you that the dress I was wearing was a mutumba. Actually, I had a small skirt suit. I was small. I had a small skirt suit, a nice jacket, and I had zote from head to toe zilikuwa mtumba. But mtumba smart. My sister bought me because I told her I was going for an interview. Ni vizuri kunichekelea. Nilitoka mbali, so nikaenda. So I was told to wait, so I waited. So we went For the first time, I got into a red plated car. This is how people feel. Ukifika kwa jam, wakiona your red plated, wanaifanya ipite. Hey, that's why people feel so good working for this organization. And then I was telling God, Father, even if I'm not getting this job, at least ambia watu siku moja nitakuwa na testimony. Nilipanda gari ya red plated. So I got it, so we went to Gigiri for interview number 2. So they called my turn. I found there were others, other than me and these other 2 guys. There was also another team there, but not some of the guys we found, another one. So I'm thinking, Ikitu now, I think iko na vitu mingi. So we get in, my turn reaches. So they call me and they greet me and I sit properly. I knew some of these tips. So they asked me, Emily, you've done interview number 2. Now this is interview number 2. And it's at this point that we make decisions. Why do you think we should hire you and you don't even have the experience? Yenyewe sikuwa nayo. Hiyo ni ukweli. Lakini what I had you don't have the experience in terms of the number of years they were asking for. They wanted people who have had like almost 5, 8 years of working. Mi sikuwa na hizo 5, 8 years. So I explained to the few 2, it was 2.5 years I had worked. I explained to them what I've been able to do. And then I tell them, so with that experience, I think it's adequate enough. And anyway, how will you ever know I can actually perform as well as someone who has done 10 years unless you give me a chance? Actually, that's what gave me a job. That's what they said. They loved my boldness. You know, after I'd finished saying the question, I said to myself, mi hata sijali kama watanipatia. After all, nataka tu 80 years. I didn't really mind much, but I thought I'd put the point of, actually, that's what gave me the job. They said they loved my boldness. And they realized, and after I finished it, I said, please give me the chance, and I will show you I can be able to perform just as well. They said, that's the reason why after that, I understand interviews ilishia hapo. All wengine ilikuwa formalities too. This was now an inside information was being given. So you can see, but that is wisdom from heaven. I didn't know all these things then. I knew a few of them. I'd been tipped by my brother, ukienda interview, tafadhali, usikuwe na tabia ya kukata keti kama huyu, unakaa vizuri. So sit properly, because now we are also doing interviews here. Okay? Who knows? Maybe I'm supposed to be employing a few of you here. Yeah? There's a major project coming. Okay? And it's 5 years. All right? So behave yourself. Sikuitisha ugali kubwa. Okay? So you can see those kind of things. So how you explain yourself, connect the little experience you have with what they were looking for. There was no way I was going to get 8 years. My age would not have allowed. Neither will my opportunities allow. But the little I got, I connected it to the job, and I told them, give me the chance and I'll not prove you wrong. And I'll prove you wrong. I was bold enough to tell them, and I was so sure. Who tells you and those kind of things? I got the job. And when I came on board, I worked my heart out to show them that I deserved to get the opportunity, okay? Actually, that job, where I worked with, I think some of you know about it. It was for Somalia. And I was supposed to introduce vegetables to Somalians. And how many know Somalis don't eat vegetables? Except the ones who've grown up in Kenya. Anything green is for animals. It was the most difficult task. But I'm happy because they wanted me to get married. I think you know. To the chief there, I didn't get married. I'm back here, okay, excited, and teaching you some tips, okay? Score a success in the first 5 minutes. If you'll ever forget anything I have said in this teaching today, don't forget that. Your first 5 minutes are the most important. What you're putting note, how you address them, how you greet them, how you sit, that alone will give you marks. Peke yake. Hata wajakuuliza kitu. Ukianza kujintroduce, that's another few marks. All right? The first 5 minutes are the most important in any interview. And remember, that's the time you are so nervous and tensed. But they want a relaxed person. So they'll be watching and seeing. They ask you questions like, tell us about yourself. Okay, close on a positive note. Thank you very much for that question. I enjoyed the interview, and I'm looking forward to a very positive response. Thank you again for giving me the chance. And you leave with a nice smile. Maneno ya kukasirika uache nje ya mlango ya interview. Sawa? Okay, next slide please. How to make the best impression, dress for success, be on time or a little bit earlier. Actually, my own principles are always be there 30 minutes before time. 30 minutes before time. If you can make it, please be there 30 minutes. You have no clue what can happen. Jam, maandamano, sijui nani, Uber amepotea, sijui nini. Unajua shetani vile alivyo mbaya. Siku ile unaenda kufanya interview kama hiyo. Let me tell you, with the IGAD interview, we were 2 of us. Okay? I went there 1 hour early. Because one, I didn't know the place. Secondly, I just said, let me go early so that at least I can get my things going in a relaxed mode around my mind. So I was there 1 hour early. And now, because this guy was supposed to have been interviewed before me, the minute they heard that I was around, the time was exchanged. So I went in first. And I think that impressed them very much. Because huyu jamaa mwingine alichelewa. Keep it positive always. Try to put a positive slant on your response to questions. I may not have the experience of 8 years. I did not talk of, first of all, oh, yeah, I know you are lucky. No. I know the advert said I need to have an experience of 8 years. And I think 8 years is quite substantial for anyone to take up this position. But I have experience of 3 years. I have worked for these organizations, and I know during my time I was able to do ABC, and that will add value to your organization. And besides, if I get this opportunity, then I'll be able to bring what my experience has been. And because nobody has ever given me a chance, if you give me the chance, then I show you, I'll be able to. Can you see it has come out positively? Jamaki, hata mi kwanza hii job siwezi apply. Nita-apply aje job na sina hiyo 8 years, yeah? So focus on your accomplishments. Did you hear? Focus on your accomplishments. The little you did, hata kama ilikuwa kwa 1 hour everyday internship, let me see, they will see your efforts of that 1 hour internship every day. And they'll say, oh, jamaa, if we give this person a chance, oh, jamaa atatusaidia sana. Imagine kama if 1 hour every day, within his time when he was studying, he managed to accomplish what about if we give him a full day, a full month? Do you see how we in the panel think? I'm telling you, and when we sit down, we are trying to know, ebu achana na huyu wa 20 years, achana na huyu mwingine wa 15 years, achana na huyu wa nini, hawa nakaa sumbua. Sumesikia ile salary wanaitisha, tuchukue akaka jamaa, tutaka train. That's how you land yourself on the job. Yeah? Yeah. Sell yourself. That one I cannot say enough. Follow up after the interview. Thank them and reiterate your interest in the job. Okay? So follow up after the interview. A small email will help you a lot. You remember the HR ambaye alikwambia we are inviting you for an interview? Write back and say, thank you, madam, thank you, sir. The interview went on very well, and thank you for the opportunity to do the interview. Period. I'm looking forward to a positive response. Katasoma tu sasa na yeye nani alimwambia tutamwandika. Lakini at the end of the day atasema heri huyu anashukuru. Imagine hata wale watu wako nafikiri atapewa. Hata ana gratitude. Amule na vile alitoka hapa hata kunisalimia. Ukitoka unasalimia ule receptionist. Unawa madam asante sana. Thank you. Nimeshukuru. Sasa interview ilikuwa imeenda vizuri sana. Hata kama unajua ulijibu maswali ngapi? 3. Si ndio? Okay, next slide please. Okay, that is a summary. Next slide. After the interview, I've already talked about it. Next slide. There's one that we call the STAR technique, situation and task. It describes the situation or the task. Okay? What is the problem at hand? You think very well at that time. You are saying, with my experience, I'll be able to contribute towards addressing this issue. If it's an issue of maybe there's a problem, if maybe it is drugs among the young people, and it depends. So action you took, describe the action you took, say what you did for your group task, blah, blah, blah. That is if you did a group task, and the results that you are able to achieve next. And next, that's a summary of that sample questions. That's where I was going to. These ones you must know. I know you want to go home, but ngojeni kidogo itawasaidia, sawa? Why are you looking for a job change? For those guys who are employed here. That's a good question. They'll always ask you. Mbona unatoka huko ulikwako? Ukijua hawa jamaa. Kwanza ule line manager wangu akiananitesa, mimi naona tu nitoke huko. Utakuwa umejipatia mashida ingine hata hauwezi. It says, explain what you learned from your previous job, share reasons for change. Be positive. Okay? So say, while I'm working for this organization, this is what you've been able to achieve. My organization is good and works on the. But for me to be able to improve my skills further, I thought I should change my job and join your organization. That is offering now something you are not seeing in your organization. That means in other words, you are telling yenyewe nyinyi ni wazuri zaidi ya wale wengi, but sisemi. Yeah? You get the point? Do you see the difference? Yes. Okay, then why should I hire you? I told you that was the job, what the question I was being asked, okay? What they want to know, are you the best candidate for the job? The hiring manager wants to know whether you have all the required qualifications. Very important. Why should we hire you? Now, you could be overqualified, like in my case, or you could be underqualified. I've told you both scenarios. Where the last one I had, I was overqualified. The first one I had, I was completely underqualified in terms of years of experience. Okay? But still, I insisted. So, what are your strengths? What are you bringing on board? What are your strengths? Now, that's where you also shine. Don't say anything that could eliminate you from consideration for the job. Say, I'm a team builder. I listen. I work with people. And what I can say is that opportunities of working with people and team building is something that is actually being offered in your organization. And that I will be able to add value. Jiuze bwana. Usiseme anyewe. What are my strengths? Watu wanauliza nini? These are the things you find out. You try to ask yourself these questions before you leave. Before you go there, all right? Yeah. What do you think is your greatest weakness? That's usually a very good question. Mi sipendi kukaa na wanaume. Kwanza mkianza kuniweka kwa ofisi, mniweka kona peke yangu huko. Yeah? I'm not saying that's what you'll say. I'm saying just a weakness. Yeah? Usianze hizo story mingi za weaknesses. Oh, you know. Oh, I hate. Oh, I don't like. That's not exactly what they're showing. They're showing, are there areas in your life or in your career that you think are actually not up to this task? Okay? So that to them is a weakness. See maneno ya social issues. That's not what they are asking. Right? When you are going through that CV, there are areas you saw, I'm not so good at this. But then listen to this slide. It says, do your best to frame your answers around positive aspects of your skills and abilities as an employee, turning seeming weakness into strength. Do you know you can turn your weakness into strength? Who has an example? How you can turn your weakness into a strength? Mm-hmm. 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 is that a weakness or it's a strength? Maybe your weakness would be the other way around. You get stressed when team members do not hand in their work in good time. Okay? And that makes your relationship with them not work very well. Okay? So what, now that's the issue. But the time management thing is a very good thing. In fact, it's a very positive thing. But how to manage your workmates when they don't keep time is where the issue is. Perhaps you tend to power them in your way, the way you express that you're not happy with that. And so maybe that's something you want to work on. All right? Yes. So you can see, you can change that to say, you don't put it like you get angry with them, unawashautia kwa corridors. By the way, one of the HR or one of the organizations actually was just removed from work the other day. You kushautia watu. Alishautia watu wengine, very senior guys left. Director akasema na wewe ufanye nini? Left. Unajua ile left ni ya nini? Ya WhatsApp. Okay, so you can see. So what you need to do is now you turn that to be like a positive thing and telling them you sincerely hope that coming on board and working with the team, one of the things you hope to do is to train them on time management. Do you see that? Niambie nani atakezi kakupea job. So atakupea job akisikia hivyo. So it's a weakness on your side, getting stressed and getting agitated because they don't keep time. But from your experience now, you have learned that the best thing to do is to actually train them upfront to meet the expectations of the organization in good time. Watasema hata wengine hakana experience mingi, lakini kitu pekee yake itatusaidia kwa sababu tumeona kuna tumutu kwa hii organization ambako akatufanyia kazi vizuri. What do you think is your greatest wish? We've covered that. Next question. Next slide, please. Tell me about yourself. Hey, Clara. Utaanzia wapi history? Kule ulizaliwa ama kule ulienda shule? Do you see, this is a question? Actually, the first thing that you should just say, introduce yourself. That's why within the 5 minutes, you lose the job. Nasema mimi yenyewe tuliomba hata nikafunga, hata mama yangu aliomba na akafunga, hata neighbors waliomba na wakafunga na nililuzi job aje. Hapa. Okay? So it says this, what they want to know, the interviewer wants to know why you are an excellent fit for this job. So exactly where do you start? Yes. Tell me about yourself. Who are you? Who are you? Tell us about yourself. They want to know about yourself, you. They have your CV there. Exactly. Who wants to try? Yes. Yeah.
I can start by saying my name is Faith Musyoka and I'm a marketer by profession. As you can see from my CV, I have done this degree majoring in the marketing, and depending on my background, the different jobs I've done, and these are the areas I've been able to cover in line with my profession. Yes, and then I can say now currently in this particular job, I can see this is what you need, and I will bring in the skills I've garnered academically and profession-wise to suit what the organization requires. Yes.
It's so important to introduce yourself. It's so important to say where you're coming from. It's so important to, unajua ukutoka tu kwa shimo pale nje. Yeah? Okay. This is how we miss it. This is how we lose it. Okay? So you must inform. They had it on the CV, But you, before you go, ask yourself that question. Write your answer many times. Stand before the mirror. Na ujiseme, ujieleze. Useme, ask yourself the question and answer yourself the question. And ask yourself, is that satisfactory? In less than 1 minute, have I said something about myself, who I am? Who are you? Do you have a question? Yeah. Is there another microphone? Yeah. And it's getting dark outside there, so please brave yourself today, yeah? Najua sasa kama ningekuwa nafanya hizi sessions without all this, ningekuwa leo mmefanya session 1 and then kesho. Leo tungekuwa tumefanya CV writing na tukadraft CVs.
I just wanted to add something on what she said. She talked about, after introducing herself, she said, as you see on my CV. I think with that, you're just telling them like, kwani hamkusoma CV yangu? So
Actually,
like, personally,
the use of language is what we will be discussing.
oh yeah,
Yes.
like bring it out. They have just asked you to say who you are, not in reference to what they have, but you yourself to bring it out.
Exactly. Yeah, there's but I think I mentioned about the use of language. You don't tell them as you've seen in my CV. Maybe what you can do is that already have it at the back of your mind. They have your CV. So it's all about I. Okay? You're selling yourself. All right? So I. That's okay. All right. Thank you for bringing that out. Yeah. Anybody else who had something? Yes.
You talked about dying.
But I have a session for questions. Yes, only additions now. Okay. What are your goals, short term and long term? She didn't say that, but it's important to indicate your short term and your long goals without necessarily having to say things are completely out of order. You must know. Huwezi kuwa wewe ni mtu ambaye una goals, una objectives. For instance, how many people wrote goals this year? Said, my goal for 2023 is this. How will I attain those goals? These are the objectives. 1, 2, 3. Okay? That is something you already tell them. Like, my goal is to join an organization like yours, to be able to improve my skills in this and this, and I hope to achieve this by 1, 2, 3. Straight to the point. Hata kama watakwako walikuwa na think twice, wataanza kukutafutia job ingine. Hata kama walikuwa na candidate mwingine. Si ndio? Okay. What did you like least about your last or current job? That's a very good question. The last job you were in. So you've already applied for a job. Or the last one according to what did you not like about it? Wanatafuta mushene. Wanataka kujua kama ni mtu wa mushene. Enyo akiwa manager ni mkali, ni mbaya, hata sijui, hata sikutaka kufanya kazi hapo hivyo 2 days. Kwa sababu kile kamshahara ni kadogo. No. Those are not the things you talk about. Always talk positive things from where you are coming from to where you're going. All right? Avoid saying negative things. So when you have such a question as like this, which I told you I'll give you this, in your own way, go type them out and fill out. Hata kama by the way una job saizi, anza kujiandikia tu vitu zako. Anticipating to get a better job, okay? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Tie that with that short term and long term, okay? Where do you want to see yourself in the next 5 years? Ama ni mtu tu kuandikwa job ukikaa hapo tu, ufikiri kwenda mahali. But also they are trying to find out whether you're the kind of person who gets into this question, into this job, and then after a few days unatoka unaenda job ingine, and then another time unaenda job ingine. Ama umekuja kuchukua job yao. In the next 5 years, I want to see myself seated where you are seated and making interviews. Wanakuangalia sema, huyu simpe job hapa. Tujui kama anakuja kutua. Okay? So it should be positive, okay? But you must have a goal. You could even say you want to better yourself in this, and one of the things you are planning to when you come on job, with your 30 days holiday or leave, you will be taking short courses on this particular course. Because you want to better yourself in this area of financial analysis. Okay? So that you can be a project planner. You can be can you see how you're going? So that they see, wewe haukuji tu mtu kuja kuchukua salary ukiendanga nyumbani. All right? So you're looking for better things. The next one is, why should we hire you? I think that we've answered. What your greatest strength? I think that one we've answered. Next slide. We answered that, didn't we? Why do you want to leave or leave the current job? Are these things repeated? Yeah? Why do you want this job? A very good question. Why do you want this job? It's tied to the other one, why we should hire you. Okay, you will read that. Describe a difficult work situation or project and how you overcame. This one, they want to know. In line with the CV you gave them, they could already see some of the activities you already did, some of the jobs you already did. But they want to find out, can you manage challenges or difficult situations? Because in every organization, there'll always be difficult organizations, even in the government settings, always difficult situations. So they want to find out, Perry, if you can actually manage a difficult situation. Show us one you did, and let us see whether it's relevant. Ama pengine hata ile wewe ulipitia kama ulimanage hiyo ni ngumu kuliko. Kuliko zile zinakuwa basema akionyewe jamaa, this is the one we should bring on board. This guy is a critical thinker. Okay, and then you show them the solutions and how you went about doing it. Okay, all right. You remember I told you about the story about Somalia and how I was being asked to introduce vegetables to Somalis. That was really difficult. And the first thing I got in there, Somalis don't listen to women. So they walked out on me. Day one, I've just landed there. Just landed. Na kweli nilijaribu yangu yote. Nikavaa dera, nikafunga kitambaa kwa kichwa. But that's what we were told was a dressing code. Because that doesn't make me a Muslim, yeah? Nikavaa dera, nikafunga kitambaa kwa kichwa vizuri. Wakuona nywele yangu. Nikakishia dera yangu nimevaa kitu ndani and it was hot. Ndio nisionyeshe shoulders. Nikahakikisha it is long. They can't see my legs and my toes. All I had was a head that had information. They looked, they said, we were waiting for Emily. I said it was me. They said, no, it has to be a man. We can't be taught by a woman. So I gave that in one of the interviews, and they asked me, all of them said, what did you do? They were curious, they wanted to know what I did. By the time we were finishing the interview, they didn't ask me some of the most difficult. We were laughing. What did you do? So I explained to them my story, how they kicked me out, but then I had to go organize, blah, 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 and then go through the leaders, and then they finally agreed. And then, even them wako wameleta wa mama wengi hapo ndani. Okay. So next slide, please. What are your salary expectations? Do you remember this? I said they will always ask you that questions because wataki ukuje wanze kuwa miserable. All right? So they'll ask you, so what is behind this question? What does this interview expect to hear? To see whether you know your worth. Now, let me tell you, even if we went to their salary scale on the Google and you saw that was the salary, they also are looking at that and merging it with your value in terms of your experiences, your academic performance and everything. So they're looking at that and then to know, well, if they can also afford you, are you too much for them? That has always been my problem on this other end, okay? And then to gauge your expertise, okay? They're asking you, now look at yourself, unendo nasema, because you saw that particular job requires, you're likely to be paid this amount of money. Then you're there, you're like, anything between $6,000 and $7,000. Like, what? Wewe, tunaweza kulipa hizo pesa. You know that's 600,000 to 700,000 if you convert just by 100 shillings per dollar, isn't it? But which is much more. So imagine, unaenda kuambia vitu kama hizo, na for sure, hauna hata hiyo degree, hauna hata hiyo masters, hauna hiyo nini. In many times, especially when you know that you are, let me tell you the trick. When you find that your qualifications do not exactly match the kind of money they are likely to offer, tell them this: I am actually open to a salary scale, depending on my experiences and my qualifications. You land yourself the job. Ukisema hizo zako zingine utakuwa umejaribi. But when you know you actually match the qualification, then state it. Okay? But always give a range. Okay? Always give a. Next slide. What are your salary expectations? We've done that. Give a rest. Be willing to negotiate. Like that's what I had to do with USA the other day. Because they really wanted to keep me, but they couldn't afford me. I said, okay, fine. Let's talk about this. Can you imagine? Tukakaa chini, tukaongea. Then we'll add you after this. Okay, sawa. Wakaniongeza. Bado ingefika. Nikamwambia, I have no problem. I am really happy doing this job. The rest of the benefits are fine. So I did the job, a clean job, and they're happy. Okay? That's what happens. Be true to yourself. Aim at the moon. At the end of the day, just don't look at the money alone. Look at your achievements. What would I benefit more than the money they are giving me? That's what I was looking for. And today, as we are talking, USA is actually beginning a huge project because of this multi-sector that I stayed, and it worked in Kenya. Okay? That's how I can get you jobs. Amen. But I don't want to sit in that interview, najua umetoka RTI, akinona ketivo, nona kaivo. No, those jobs, they'll want accountants, they'll want whatnot. It depends on what exactly you did. All right. But you can see, you can't get hired because I'll not be the only one making decisions. Of course, you can overrule some things, but utakuja hapo malenge. Wezi, sindio? Okay, next slide. Questions that you may want to ask the interview. Very important. One question that you cannot go without asking is number 1. When do you expect the job to start? Usitoke hapo kabla hujauliza hiyo. I'm really grateful for this opportunity that you've given me to sit in this interview. It's been a great pleasure. I have only one question. When is this job likely to start? Imagine ukitoka tu hapo na utoke hata hujauliza, they'll think you are not interested. Do you get the point? And that's a polite question. They'll ask you, or what is your onboarding process? Other than just this interview, is there anything else that you will do after this? And most of them, they always explain to them. Those 2 questions, do not forget. Next slide, the rest you can read them. Next slide, this is a summary. Thank you. Oh, questions and answer. Questions? Now bring those many questions.